Hello everyone, Achalino here, and today we're going to talk about the changes for Subletly roads in 10.2. This is the first pass of the PTR. We already know some bugs that are going to get fixed. I have a list over here that we have, but there's a community member that has done a really cool list also of the changes. Everything has been changed. Huge props to him, Selim. You can see him in the Rogue Discord and ask him things also. So we will talk about this. These are the changes that have happened. I went around on the last video and explained it a bit, but I didn't compare with what we had before. Now, every time we talk about some of these things, we can go back inside the game, of course, and just look at talents. And we have this open over here. This is a talent tree I'm checking out, but it's not like something that you will say it's the best. No one knows. Everything is changing. There are some bugs that make it hard to know if it's good or not. We will see. So we begin. Find weakness. Find weakness. One of the most iconic pieces of Subletly's arsenal, let's say. Now it's on the tree. What does it mean? Before it was on the class tree, and it was just before Shadowlands. Now instead of that, we have, in this case, Night Stalker. You can check on the new tree here, Night Stalker, instead of Find Weakness. Now we have it here. It does the same, 30% armor penetration, and it enables shadow finishers for our eviscerate and black powder to do extra damage. It's also something that will happen here, but now you know. Shadow blades completely reworked, and even he says it's super strong. Why? It used to be a 2-minute cooldown. There was a talent also to reduce the cooldown when you procced shadow techniques, but that talent doesn't exist anymore. Now it's a 2-minute flat strong cooldown. Why is it strong? Now let's look at it 1 second. If you didn't watch the last video, I will explain in one moment. Shadow blades. Now Rouse open surrounding shadows. It's really cool in that case. 20% additional damage to shadow. Now it's not 50% on our builders. It's in this case 20% on everything. What does this mean? This means it works with builders and spenders. So that means like our eviscerate technique and everything gets that extra 20% damage, and things that didn't have it, like flagellation, will also have it that 20% extra power. It will do a little bit less damage in general, but there's also another thing that it does that it's really strong. Now, every time you use a builder while you are in Shadowblades, you are going to fill your combo points. What does it mean? Instead of giving one extra, now it will fill your combo points. If you have 6 maximum because you are using secret stratagem, you're going to get 6. If you have 7 because you are using 2 deeper stratagems, kind of funny now they have different names, secret and deeper stratagem, but you're going to have 7 and fill those 7 when you use a builder. That means it's really strong now, and every 2 minutes we will have our shadow dance that also now are most likely always going to be 8-second duration. Really strong before, of course, compared to before. Now There's also this next talent that it's Ephemeral Bone. It's just flat out in the middle of our tree. 12% more healing. It's a little bit stronger than the Monk one, the Close to Heart, that it's 8%. In this case, we get 12% to ourselves. This is good. Rogue is one of the worst classes while we are leveling, and taking any more healing that we can get, be it from potions or healers just killing us, or just getting leech and other things. Of course, those are going to be harder because they are way up in the in our talent tree. But this Femoral Bond also works with, of course, Soothing Darkness, Leeching Poison, and Recuperator. That means everything on there, it's a little bit stronger, and it helps us when we are doing solo content, on even when we are in raid or dungeons, to survive our weakness, that it's dots that you can't clear with Club of Shadows or that come really often. Now to the next one. You know, a stunning secret, an AoE kidney shot. We know it's not going to stay in this way. Why? All the big ones are also target capped. This is not target capped right now. You are getting a 6-second stun on all the mobs that can be stunned if they are not in the air. That means if you use Suppressing Roar, it's going to be 8 or 9 seconds, depending on how it works on the thingy. Not much to do to see on the talent. It's literally the same thing. A cool thing to know is because they are clones, our Forset gives us 2 combo points when we use Stunning Secret. It feels a little bit less worse when you use 50 energy and then 40 seconds cooldown for that. Shroud in Darkness makes our Shroud buff stay with people that are really angsty and really have like super sprints and just go whoo and swoop in outside of our Shroud. Well, now they get that buff anyway, even if they leave the area. Plant Execution. Now it's 1 point and 6% crit. It also shares a point, a choice point. You know, you have those now. With Warning Signs, you get 6% haste. This may change because we got told that maybe there was another talent that gave more benefit from haste and things like that, like the Outlaw talent that they have. I'm not going to talk much about Outlaw or Assassination. I don't know much about those specs. I let people that know make videos and guides and everything about them. If I don't see anyone making them, I will do some videos like talking from my perspective, because they are also cool specs that have seen many changes that are good. Now, Warning Signs and Plan Execution. It's kind of awkward when you see when it is, because you kind of want to go down, but you have your 2 seconds on Dance and Premeditation, both really strong talents compared to Plant Execution, unless we play the old tier set. It becomes a little bit stronger. You know, the old tier set, when you use Dance, you get 6 seconds of Symbols of Death. But it's also a little bit stronger because of Shadowcraft. Now this, of course, improved Shadowlands. Everything that you had before, you have it now. 1 point, good. 2 seconds more in Shadowlands. We have a lot of amps inside Shadowlands. We have access to Shadow Strike. Now it's a really good builder. That's way more damage because 16%, it's quite a bit in the realm of builders. I've had 140k Shadow Strikes without using Rotten. It's really good. Shadowed Finishers. More power per point, but less power overall. This is also in taking into account that now Blades also works with finishers. It does mean that when you are in Blades, you have more power than before. Shadow Focus, nerfed again, always was really strong. Now it's still up there. You get like with the extra energy, because remember, it was on the patch changes, but now our backstab costs 40 energy and our Shadow Strike costs 45 energy. Good. There's also one change that is going to happen on the next build, and it's our Shuriken Storm will also cost 5 energy more. Now we go to Deepening Shadows, a little bit of a nerf, and now it means that our Shadow Dance, it says 30 seconds, but it's a little bit more depending on how you deal with energy and things. When you don't have T charges and or Gormao used and everything, it can get a little bit slower. And for the normal build, not Dust, you can get from 30 seconds to around 40 instead of the 25 that we have now. So Shuriken Tornado, it's going to be good for single target, at least until Reals is still thinking about this, because some players actually don't like Tornado for single target. I like it. I like to see when it gets the change, when we see that new PTR build, and it does what it should do, is when you have Shadow Blades active. Now let me show you Tornado. Everyone knows what Tornado does, but I'm going to just show it anyway. You use 60 energy. In the case if you are inside Dance, it's less, but you don't want to use Tornado in Dance. It's one global that you use. In my case, when I would use Tornado would be after Dance to get some CDR. In this case, it's good because if you are in an AoE situation, you're going to fill your CPs. If you are in a single target situation, it's still 60 energy for 4 combo points. You know, our backstab is 40 energy, so it's 160. It's like using a charge of D. Even if you don't get mastery, it's efficient, let's say. And also this row, it's not that contested in huge DPS wins. What happens, of course, in theory, right now it's not happening, it's when you have Blades active and you use Tornado, you are going to fill your combo points 4 times. It means you can be 0 combo points, use Tornado. Now, of course, we don't get those free combo points from Shadow Techniques, because now it's a buff that gets consumed when you use a builder. But of course, if Shuriken Tornado fills all our combo points, you don't waste those Shadow Techniques. And also that means that you will use 4 eviscerates in a row. That's cool, because that means normal builds can have 2 secret techniques inside the flagellation window without using dust, of course. Perforated Veins, totally reworked. It's going to be good in the way that it will work with big number things like Sepsis and Gormau in the future. Right now it doesn't work, of course. With Sepsis it's strong because it already has really good scaling, and also it hits quite hard. You get around 200 or 300k on the dot, and the pop can pop for 100k or something if you get a critical. Then you know we have a lot of crit right now, and the way you use Sepsis now with Dance Macabre, it means it does way more damage now than on live, because you get the ramping, you also get Next Stalker, and of course Dark Shadow from before. It hasn't changed anything. And now this means that you can get a lot of damage. Gormau is also getting a little 20% buff on the damage. It's not a 100% thing because maybe they change their mind before now and when the next build drops, but it's still really good. Of course, as you know, in this case, Perforated Veins is kind of competing with Deeper Daggers. Deeper Daggers, I think, will be more of a thing that you go with the normal builds. With Dust, you kind of want your Perforated Veins to use on Sepsis and to use on Gormal's Bite. Because Gormal's Bite, it does a little bit of damage, like 100 to 200k if you get good crits, gain 50% more on that. It's good, it's shadow damage, it goes through armor. It also means that if you have deeper daggers, you'll do more damage. And Build Dodge also works with it. 5% flat, good, reliable, it's there. In this case, of course, after Perforated Veins, Lingering Shadows, still some DPS, you backstab, you gloom, you get damage, it works. Finality. Finality has seen a really good change. Now it's like Deadshot. If you remember from BFA, we always wanted this. We didn't like that it had duration in the old patch. So now it can't just time down. So if you just Rupture, if you use Eviscerate, on your next cast, you are going to have this 15% increase in damage. Very reliable, very good. In this case, I'm not using it because literally these 3 points are the same as these 3 points, and of course these are 3 capstones, and this is just 3 points. And I'm going to talk about it later, but Dark Brio will see some nerfs in the way it works between live and now, and of course this build of the PTR when it's still bugged and now. As for, of course, the Rotten, it has changed in a weird way. I think it's a little bit underpowered now. Because you really want to use this on Sepsis or Gormao. Or if you are playing Echoing Reprimand with Reverberation for some reason, if you hit your head really hard against a wall or something. But also, when we take the current tier set out and we don't get that free symbols, it's going to be just weak compared to the other capstones. So this may see some changes. If you want to see the new one, he also has this. It says it pays really nicely with Perforated Vein, but the combination, even with everything, is like getting a 100% crit, but you don't really. It doesn't work on Sepsis or Germa right now, and even when it works, Real says that you are not going to get the crits on the dot or on the pop of Sepsis, so that's no. You're going to use it anyway on there because it's like 900% scaling or on the ability, really good, but still just there. If you compare it to Shadowcraft, Dance Macabre, Gormao even, because it gives a lot of energy, or Dark Brew, it's just weak. 50% maybe damage is not what we are looking for. Maybe it has to do something else, or just have 2 charges. Maybe that works. Who knows? Gormao's Bite, the Legion artifact ability. If you didn't play in Legion, when you use it, it does a hit. This is important because it will work with our new mechanics. That means that it will do a hit and benefit from blades. It will fill our combo points if we are inside blades. And in the next build of the patch, it will also give us 1 stack of Dance Macabre. That means that maybe we move our secret technique to the third finisher, because it changes. Now you can get a little bit more power inside those last finishers when using Word Mouth Bite inside your dance window. It's also 1 minute cooldown, so it pairs kind of nicely with using blades every 2 minutes. Shadowcraft, there's a note here that is a little bit longer, and this has something to explain. It has some mechanics and it has some bugs, because basically you can read what he says. I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to explain the mechanic. You also have to know about shadow techniques. Let's talk about first this. It's buggy. It's the first look at the new mechanic. Now, instead of getting the combo points outright, you get them as a buff. What does it mean? It's like, it means like, for example, let's look inside the game. You go here, let's say, and you are hitting this dummy, and you get this buff. Shadow techniques, combo points stored. That means now if I use a builder, I will get my combo point if I don't get that weapon master proc, and then I will get these 4 extra and now 5 extra. So now if I use C, I used a backstab and it filled all my combo points. What does it mean now? It means, for example, with Shadowcraft, you are getting these combo points stored, and then if you use Symbols of Death, when you use a finisher, you also get these combo points. So now see, I use Symbols of Death, and then I can use 2 eviscerates, and I even got 4 there, so I could, if I wanted, I could use eviscerate again. This means that you can plan around and do cool things and become a finishing machine if you want. You can get 6 or 5 or 7 maybe of these shadow techniques when you are like, if you know a mob is going to spawn and you are going to see that mob spawn, and then you are going to get possibly 3 or 4 finishers in a row. Of course, you want to get Find Weakness on that mob, so there is some things that you want to do, maybe with putting 1 Shadow Strike inside it. You know, our Shadow Strike with Premeditation fills combo points anyway, so you don't waste the Shadow techniques, and then you use finisher, and maybe finisher again, because you get those points kind of back. Really cool things to do. We have to see, of course. And then I'm going to explain the mechanic again. You have seen it already, that you get those combo points stored. With Shadowcraft, it's even better because it works with finishers, and you also get more stacks. It means that when it procs, instead of 1, you get 2, and also they proc more often. So right now, Shadow Techniques works in that has like a 4 kind of fail safe, but it can also work on the third. The chance is 0, 0, 50, 100% to proc. Of course, this is ignoring Wind Fury Totem and misses. Of course, remember our auto attacks, because we are a dual wield class, can miss. So this works really well even without Wind Fury Totem. With Wind Fury Totem, this can high roll a lot. What does it mean? With Wind Fury Totem, for example, you can get a 0 and then proc it, and then on the next you can go another 0 and proc it, because now it's 0, 50, 100. So with Wind Fury Totem, you may get, in this case, 4 combo points in 1 second. That means it's really stronger when we have this talent. Of course, we will do sims and everything, but it's out there. Night Stalker. I skipped Max for Death. I want to talk a little bit more, but before let's talk about the three. Night Stalker is going to get nerfed from 15 to 10 because right now 15% is really good, and this also snapshots, rupture, and other things. So it's just a damage champ when you are inside dance or when you banish. That's also something to think about. There could be some things with finality and vanishing. Vigor, really strong, really strong. It's very likely that we always play with Vigor as a Subletly rogue because of the way we get energy in bursts when we are using finishers with blades and everything. But then when we go out of those, we want to be high on energy, healthy energy, because our backstab are using 40 energy now, and Eviscerate also uses a little bit more energy. Cold Blood, nothing has changed. Now the problem is it's competing. Let me show you. It's competing with capstones really strong, like Deeper Stratagem, Shadowlands, T. The power is not in T really, but it's on Vigor, but it's still really strong. Echoing Reprimand and Resounding Clarity. It's competing without things, so maybe it's not going to be played as much as now. So that will be it for almost everything. Now I'm going to talk more about Marked for Death. Marked for Death right now it's a little bit underpowered in normal builds. What does it mean normal builds? It means builds that do not use dust, so they can get any cooldown reduction. Basically, you can use Marked for Death to get one free finisher because it fills all of our combo points, and you also get 15% extra damage to that target. It also means that if that target dies in those 15 seconds, you will get your cooldown back. Now, why is this not that good in normal builds? It's because Deeper Stratagem already does this kind of, because an extra combo point it's around 17 to 18% extra damage compared to a 6 combo point finisher, and it also gives 5% flat on top. So if you are, for example, doing AoE, you are going to do kind of the same or even more damage, and it doesn't have a cooldown. In this case, this has an uptime because it has 40-second cooldown and 15-second duration. It means most of the time you won't have this buff in your target. With Dust, it's a little bit different. You get it sooner. You can use it twice in when you use your Banish. Even in AoE, that means you have 2 targets marked for death. That means that if one target dies, and even if you are using Black Powder, those targets are getting the extra damage from Black Powder and from Rupture. And also you can begin ramping resets, like one dies and you can mark another, and if the other dies then you can mark even another. When you are doing chain pulls, you are going to get lots of resets, but it's going to be hard to play. If it was harder when it lasted 60 seconds, it's going to be harder now. It may see a buff because, of course, right now it's really underpowered for almost all builds. Even in Dust, I don't know if it's going to be better than just using Deeper, because we have a lot of things that fill our CPs already, and of course filling one more CP means that global is in this case more valuable, because if you have 0 combo points and fill 6 or fill 7, you get 1 combo point extra in that global cooldown. It's good, it's strong. Of course, for burst, this is another thing. We are talking about a very different thing. For burst, getting one extra finisher inside Upper Dance, maybe something to look about. Because if you are not playing first dance, you can go inside dance and use this mark for death, get that eviscerate out, and then you can use your Shadow Strike, another eviscerate, Gormao, and then Secret Technique. You are also in your Shadowcraft window, so you are getting combo points back when you are using finishers. But if you already filled your combo points with Mark for Death, you are not using those Shadowcraft, Shadow Technique procs. So you get even more combo points in the next finisher, and you can use that finisher, and then another one. Lots of mechanics, lots of things. I really like the changes. There are some bugs. I will talk in another video about the bugs and what's going to be fixed. That one is going to be a short video compared to this one that is almost more than 30 minutes, and we are going to finish it now. If you want, always remember, you can check the Rogue Discord. You can check this sheet too if you ask Elim. It's also in the Rogue Discord things. I'm not going to link it directly because it's not mine. In that case, I will see you in the next video.